Hello everybody and welcome back to Shipviews with me, Carburetor. Today we are going to be looking at the Tier 8 Premium German Light Cruiser, the Mainz. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but the Mainz. For those of you guys who don't know, the Mainz is essentially a hipper class heavy cruiser with the Nuremberg's turrets on it. So you get one more gun per turret. And you get the 6-second reload versus the Hippers, I think 11.5 second reload. So you're throwing a lot more fire at the wall when you're playing this. Now, you'll see in the title of this video, I'm calling it the German Cleveland, because that's basically what it is. This, for all intents and purposes, is very, very similar to the Cleveland. They each have their pros and cons, but I'm just going to go over a few of them right now. I'm not going to get into the whole stats like I do in my twinning videos, but I'm just going to touch on the basics. Let's start with the artillery. So you have 4x3 150mm versus 4x3 152mm on the Cleveland. So the Cleveland does have slightly better guns. However, because the Mainz is a German ship, you get that full quarter pen, so you get 38mm of HE penetration versus on the Cleveland where you only get 30mm of armor penetration, and that's important. That's basically IFHE built in. Speaking of IFHE, let's look at the fire chances. On the Cleveland, you have a 12% chance versus on the Mainz, you have an 8% chance. So while it's not as good on the Mainz, it is still halfway decent, and I do find myself setting a lot of fires. Let's stick with the main battery while we're at it. 6-second reload on the Mainz versus 6.5 on the Cleveland. So you do actually throw a few more rounds at the wall in a minute. Now, what's also important to remember is with the Mainz, you get the German Premium Commander. Oh, I'm blanking on his name now. I just had it, Gunther Luchens, which means after you shoot 140 rounds of your main battery, you actually get, and I want to get this number exactly right, you get a 7.5% reduction in main battery, which brings these down to, I'm actually trying to do the math for you guys. 6 times 92.925, that brings it down automatically by half a second, so you're actually firing at 5.5 seconds. You add on top of that the skill I have for him, which is Top Grade Gunner, which gives you a minus 8% reload time if there is an enemy within your standard detectability range. And this ship has a huge detectability range. Even with the Concealment Expert in the commander slot, it's a 13.4 second. Now you can get that down to about 12.6, 12.8 with equipment, which I do not have currently installed because I wanted to look at the base specs. And then you throw Adrenaline Rush on top of that, you can get this reload really, really down. Let's look at Aaa Defense, because that's kind of the next thing to look at. With the Cleveland, you have an AA rating of 77 versus 77 on the Mainz. So that kind of proves my point of how they are very, very similar, even if they are slightly different. What are they different with on the AA? Continuous damage, 348 on the Mainz to 307 on the Cleveland. The Cleveland does get a little bit better range at 5.8 to 5.2. You do get 5 shells, explosions, and salvo in the Cleveland, whereas in the Mainz, if I remember right, okay, you actually get 6 in the Mainz, but the shell explosions are weaker at 1400 damage versus 1540. Going on to maneuverability, with the Cleveland, you have a 32.5 knot top speed. With the Mainz, you have a 32.0 knot top speed. Believe it or not, both of those are still very quick, and these are very rapid destroyers. However, when push comes to shove, I actually have to say I like the Mainz. Now, I plan on showing this back in port when we go back in port. But when it comes to the armor layout, First off, you have a turtleback armor, which really protects you. It is hard to citadel these ships. You basically need to be at about a 45-degree angle with the round coming in right underneath the first turret to be citadeled, and that goes from the back end too. If you're kiting away, if you're at about a 45-degree angle, which is just about right to get your all of your guns to bear, you provide the citadel athwart ship and the citadel, yeah, I guess citadel athwart ship on both sides. I didn't know that's what they were called actually on both sides, and that'll open you up to getting just annihilated by citadel strikes. I have personally dev struck the Admiral Hipper classes just in gameplay. But what's really nice about the mines is you actually have two armor belts that really protect you. Two crucial ones in the bow and the stern. You have a 40mm kind of icebreaker hull that they call the fore end armor belt. And you also have one in the rear with the aft end armor belt. That protects you from lighter caliber guns from citadeling you when you are angled and when you're pushing in towards ships. If they aim at your nose, a lot of those shells are going to go low and hit your fore end armor belt and are just going to bounce off that 40mm. Now, it's not perfect. As a tier 8, you are going to see a lot of tier 9 and tier 10 games. So you do have to be worried about the accurate US 406s. You have to be worried about the 457mm, and you have to be worried about the 460mm because they will punch clean through that, and they will detonate you. Moving on, just more of the differences. So the Mainz has torpedoes, which makes it excellent for close range brawling. I've been using the Mainz for ranked battle, tier 8 ranked battle, and it is fantastic because on a one-on-one engagement, torpedoes really allow you to hit above your weight class. You catch a battleship when he doesn't have his turrets looking at you, you drive by, you dump your torps, you basically dev strike him. Now, they are German torpedoes, so they don't exactly do the best damage, and they don't have the best stats. You have 4x4 533, which is slightly better than the 4x3 533 that you find on the Eugen. They have a range of 6.0 kilometers, which is pretty standard, pretty bog standard for German cruisers. And you also have a top speed. They have a top speed of 64 knots. They do 13,700 damage, which after you factor in ship or battleship torpedo damage reduction, you kind of need all of them to hit on target in order to kind of dev strike a ship, which is difficult with these because they do have kind of a funky shooting pattern. Going back into game here, you guys can see we got the reload down to 5.0 right now after we activated Gunter Luchens, and we also with our adrenaline rush and everything else like that. And as you can see, we are just pouring on the heat. I kind of make a mistake coming up here a little bit, but that's what it is. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to be perfect every single time, and we do end up still winning. Going on to equipment, you do have that German Hydro, that 6.0 German Hydro, which is basically just a mini radar that lasts forever. You get it for 120 seconds, I believe. I'm actually pulling it up. I have my game open in my other screen. You have it up for 120 seconds versus on the Cleveland, you can get Hydro, which is up for 100 seconds, but it only goes to 5 kilometers. You do get radar on the Cleveland, and you do also get DFAA. DFAA is very nice for if you're being harassed by an enemy CV, but honestly, I find AA to be kind of pointless because you can literally shoot down 50 planes in a game, and you'll still get full squadrons going at you. So at the end of the day, what's the point? That's actually why I'm pushing up here in game to try and stick next to the Iowa, to try and use the Iowa for protection. In reality, I probably should have hung back and stuck behind the islands where the... oh, I can't see it, where the cruiser and that destroyer are. You can see I did manage to dodge that Yamato's shells, but I'm coming out in a bad spot here. I'm going to be flat broadside to the Venezia, and I decide to switch my fire to the Venezia to try and take him out. Let's see if I can take him out. There he goes, but as you can see, I take one heck of a paddling there. I'm not dead, but I will be dead. I switched to the carrier here just to try and get a little bit of last ditch damage in. I'm basically dead. There's no way I can really recover it, and boom, I'm dead. I don't know how the Yamato managed to do that damage. The Yamato did end up getting that kill. I feel like the John Bart actually did the kill, but whatever. Let's head back into stats. Let's look at our stats. So as you can see, we did 85,000 damage, which is not that bad for a tier 8 light cruiser, getting us 452,000 credits, 7,500 plus base or ship XP, and 1,600 free XP. If we move on to the next one, you can see we are third from the top in our team for base XP earned with a base XP of 1,770. That is fantastic in a tier 10 and 9 battle. In all reality, that Worcester, that FDR should have been top of our class. The fact that they weren't kind of says just how great this ship is. On to the damage that we did. On the detailed report, you can see we did 27,000 damage to the Yamato, 16,700 to the Pommern, 14,600 to the Alabama, yada, yada, yada. You can see that we fired, or that we got 264 main battery hits out of 624 fired. So it really wasn't that good, but we did do pretty well. We damaged a few modules. We didn't really get, we only killed 4 planes, which is kind of my point about how AA sucks. Moving on to that, with our premium accounts and everything like that, we walk away with over 19,000 Commander XP. I'm going to leave that up for a little bit, and then let's move back into port so I can show you guys that a few of those ship stats. So here we are back in port. As you can see, we get that really nice Citadel 4 armor athwart ship, which really protects you when you are kind of angled in against some of the heavier cruisers. They won't be able to punch in and Citadel you, and then when you're really angled in like that, you tend to bounce a lot of shells that are fired at your bow area, which is kind of why if you're fighting one of these ships, you definitely want to be aiming for the main belt area and waiting for this ship to kind of go broadside. Compare that with the Cleveland that only has a 25mm bow. You can see how this ship might be a little powerful. And you do get, it is 25mm up there, so do be careful. If you are fighting against the ship, you want to aim right at the base of that turret right there so that some shells go into this bow and the rest go into the superstructure. The only thing that I really have a problem with German cruisers in general is their HE. As you can see, maximum damage 1,700, whereas with the US, it's 2,200. That doesn't sound like that big of a deal, especially when you consider that you're getting, you know, a little bit longer reload and it's typically a bigger shell. But these HE shells in the German line period are just kind of anemic. If you look at the Prinz Eugens, you can see we do 2,500. So that's almost as much. That's the Cleveland that does almost as much as an 8-inch shell. And if you compare it to the Rochester, which has those 8-inch shells also, you can see it does 2,800. So it does a good 300 damage more, which when you're flinging, you know, 100 shells in a game, that's a big deal. That's my only really gripe with the ship. Otherwise, this ship is just bulky, as you can see. Let me pull up the Citadel. You definitely got that. Turtleback armor, which makes this thing really difficult to Citadel. I have dev struck these ships before, but typically it has been the Prinz Eugen that does also have that turtle deck or that turtleback armor. But the Citadel athwart ship does not go quite as far forward and doesn't provide the icebreaker. And if I remember right, the Hipper does not actually have that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I did actually record this the day that it's going to be released, so it is a little bit rushed, but I hope you guys enjoy it. I would say definitely get the Mainz. The Mainz has been my favorite ship to play recently. Don't pay attention to the score rating there, I've only played like 5 or 6 battles in random battles. With this ship, most of it has been in ranked, and unfortunately, in those random battles, you go up against a lot of tier 9 and tier 10 ships, which can make it very difficult for you to really do anything. But anyway, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you all next time.